Hello, everyone. Good evening. It is Monday, and this is another edition of Getting the Record Straight. And this is the Truth to Power segment. Welcome. I hope everyone is trying to stay clear of the virus, the coronavirus, and doing their best to keep themselves safe and a safe distance from others. Um, Again, this is really a difficult time. It's just this phenomenon, if you will, has just really upset everything. I took a peek out earlier, very early this morning, and I live near Haverford Avenue, which is usually packed at 8 a.m. And I think I saw two cars coming up and down. But as I said, this has really been something. Getting the record straight, the Truth to Power segment. By the way, as I've mentioned before, I do a music segment. Well, I do a video segment called Black Rock Soul, but I also put together a playlist on YouTube that you can listen to anytime. And I really got some nice music on there, I think, right now. And it's typically about 2 hours, a little more than 2 hours of music that you can listen to at www.blackrocksoul.com. Blackrocksoul.com. Please go there and listen to some great old school music and a whole lot of really nice new stuff that I think you'll enjoy. And it'll help you get here to see our Getting the Record Straight videos because the website, www.blackrocksoul, has a button there. It says Get Record Straight, and you can click on that, and it'll bring you right here. So much is going on. When I last looked, the Congress, Senate, and the House of Representatives were still debating and negotiating for some kind of um, intervention bill, if you will, to help with this coronavirus, particularly the economic side of things. And looks like the Democrats are getting their legs under them and getting back on their feet. They had really let the Republicans the last few days, and particularly Trump, kind of outflank them, I believe, on the left side, and was really offering some things directly to the public that seemed helpful, and the Democrats were kind of dallying, but it looks like they've recovered and are really backing the Republicans into a corner, and Mitch McConnell and that crew of criminals. Um, and I think they're going to, if they hold fast, I mean, people need money and they need resources, businesses, and all of that. But I think if they hold fast they'll get the Republicans to knuckle under and not give away the bank, if you will, to the large corporations and banks, which they've already done a massive amount for. But anyway, it's good to see Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats um, getting their act together and bringing some pressure on these Republicans. I had an occasion, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, and I was watching one of the news shows, which I don't do a lot of the mainstream news, but anyway, I happened to be watching one, and they were interviewing this congressman from Georgia who's a Republican, and it sometimes makes you wonder where these people come from. I've been saying for years now, and that the seriousness of what the Republican conservative right wing movement, how serious and the threat that they pose, not only to this country but to the world. And I'm serious about that. And people, kind of look at me and this is hyperbole, but when you look at I forget what was the last quote in terms of how much ice has melted in Antarctica recently. I mean, it's hit its highest temperatures. You're literally talking about the existence of the planet. And these people deny science. They have no regard. They are, and then they're rooted in this kind of religious fervor that is, this apocalyptic kind of outlook that it is so dangerous, and it carries over into so many different areas domestically as well as internationally. And I can't remember what the guy was saying exactly verbatim, but he was just had no clue of what was going on. He had all this anti-socialism thing going on, and I think this is what had prompted Trump. Just today, they were talking about him saying that in 15 days, he wants to reassess things. And I really think part of it is coming from that Republican base, that hardcore, neo-fascist base that's really concerned about, are we really going into a socialist kind of program and economy. At any rate, something has to be done, and it looks like Bernie is really providing a lot of leadership on that level, proposing and planning the kinds of programs that at one point it seemed like Trump was adopting. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but he has certainly shown a great deal of leadership from a kind of broad and global standpoint, national standpoint. And evidently Cuomo is getting a lot of, the governor of New York getting a lot of accolades for the way he's handling things and mobilizing for this pandemic. But anyway, so again, it looks like the Democrats, are backing these thieves up, meaning the corporate Republicans. And one could argue that it's taken them a while to kind of get around to it. That is the Democrats, but nonetheless, it's good to see. The thing that still bothers me, though, and even with even though Bernie, as I said, has come out with probably the best and most comprehensive plans in terms of dealing with this pandemic, and he's the only one who said something about the situation with Iran and the sanctions that have been, from what I understand, the administration is talking about ratcheting up the sanctions against Iran, and he has spoken out and said that would be, tantamount to, something genocidal, and human rights violations and that kind of thing. So kudos for that. But he's the only one doing that, and frankly, I would like to see him go further than that. I understand the sanctions on Venezuela. They're, if not increasing them, they're tightening that. Now, something similar is happening with Nicaragua. And someone close to me recently, just the other day, said, well, you know what? Like, I don't really care about that. And I know this person's a good person, and, they said, well, I'm only concerned about what's going to happen, here in the States, and that we get what we need, and working people get the kind of help that they need. And I get that, and I'm right there also. I want to see, the help come to those of us that really need it. I'm one of them. And so that goes without saying. But, this thing about the military and the intelligence community pretty much getting what they want and continuing these sanctions, upgrading the sanctions. They haven't really let up in terms of the warring and warmongering. And there is a human side to this that, and I'm concerned that we have really normalize things so much, take so much for granted, things that, should have landed people in, the International Criminal Court, things that are, antithetical to what we're supposed to believe as human beings. Um, that we have no moral authority whatsoever. And, I don't like to sound, I mean, it's not idealistic. This has been going on for, I don't know, you could argue for all of this country's history. But, in 2020, people and leaders in this country are so open about, um, going against international law and, people's rights and sovereignty, and we overlook it and we accept it. And I just, I am not, I'm sure that there are people who are more devout than I am in terms of religion. I am a Christian. Many of the people who I associate with and friends of mine are, and this is supposed to be a Christian nation. Um, and it's not even hypocritical. It is an outright outrage that we allow for the what they call it, the military industrial complex. But we don't even speak up. We don't care. And like I said, I get it from a friend of mine who's, like, as I said, was stating, I only care about what's happening here. But from a practical standpoint, number one, having these so-called enemies all over the place, and every time you turn around, it's another enemy and someone we have to sanction. That's what gives the so-called ammunition, and excuse the pun, but that the rationale, if you will, for why the military budget is as large as it is, and it's ridiculous now. It's a disgrace now, and the fact that we don't say anything and it's not part of our discussion, I really think is problematic. And as someone who has some faith and some religion anyway, it just begs the question rather. Do you really think God will approve of this kind of activity? Innocent people are going to die all over the place. In Venezuela, they're already dying. In Nicaragua, I'm sure. In Iran. And it's just, it's disgraceful. And it drives, obviously, foreign policy, but it also has a real impact here. And the way, I think the scary, the area that it has the greatest impact is just the way that we see ourselves and have normalized and become so desensitized to what we do around the world. And it comes back to haunt us. On that note, you all have a good evening. This has been Getting the Record Straight. I'm Rob I. Bell.